Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the morning show. We have the final segment, 22 minutes before the hour of 9 o'clock. In the studio with me and on the couch is Lucito Ayuso. He's Community Liaison Officer for Audubon, and he is responsible for something called Boat to Boat. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Welcome
Ernesto.
to the show. Good to have you.
Well, thank you for inviting us to talk a little bit about basis conservation.
Well, we try to do this here at Love and On the Morning Show to deal with a lot of subjects. You know, right now we politics takes the line, and we talk about the port and all that. But all this is tied in. It's tied in. We could get into the politics of it, or how much we pay for it and whatnot. But importantly, if we don't save the waters, we won't have a port. Period. Yeah. Our ships won't be able to come in. All these things have to be thought of, when we talk about our country and developing it and the progress. Well, you're responsible for something called Boat to Boat, which is, it says here, method of meeting fishers on the atoll. Yeah. Tell us the history and what is it?
Definitely, Ernesto. I would like to start by saying that BAS, the Belize Audubon Society, pioneered this boat-to-boat strategy.
Okay.
We kicked it off in 2012 through our Jeff Small Grants funded project.
Okay.
We were in the middle of that project around the same time of the year, around December.
What are we seeing on the screen meanwhile? We're seeing a boat. Oh, is that?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
at the atoll, yeah.
That's the atoll. We pioneered it at Lighthouse Reef Atoll. We are responsible for the co-management of the atoll, which is Blue Hole and Half Moon.
Yeah, that whole area. That's a beautiful area.
Yeah. So, as I was telling you, the strategy kicked off in 2012 with, in the middle of the Jeff-funded project, around this time, Christmas time, when there was a lot of grapes, apples, and so on. However, the project called for a lot of community meetings at that time. But we found out that when we go to the communities, and the communities that we work with are Copperbank, Chunush, Sarteneja, because these are fishing communities. We have about 80% of these communities are fishers who depend on the livelihoods of these two natural monuments. They depend on the conch, the lobster, and to a certain extent, finfish, for their livelihoods.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Lucito, before you continue, I mean, a lot of us are ignorant when we talk about villages and these things. Are these Shunosh, Copperbank, Sarteneja neighboring villages, or they are?
Yes.
How would you place along the coast? Yeah.
Yes, they are inland villages. They are way about 90 miles from Belize City.
Oh, yeah.
Right here. And Sarteneja is it's the last coastal community in northern Belize.
That's in,
right there,
it's in
front of
Oranjog,
Corozal.
right?
In front of
Is
Corozal.
it in Oranjog or Corozal?
Oranjog and Corozal.
Both of them?
Yeah. Well, actually, the three communities are in Corozal.
Yeah.
Neighboring each other.
It depends on how you approach them, no?
You could go through San Esteban Bridge, and you could go through Corozal, through the Pueblo Viejo bridge, no? So they're about, let's say, about 10 to about 27 miles distance of each other, okay? So these communities began their fishing
How much
practices.
of the coast do they cover? Sorry to interrupt you. I mean, if you put them all together, what percentage of the coast do you think they live on and work from? That's quite a big
yes,
portion.
It is. But I cannot tell you that response. No, I would have to do a little research.
I know, but what I'm trying to get, because Sarteneja is a big town.
Yes.
I mean, I had the pleasure of visiting it a few years ago, and it's big. I was there when the fishermen had pulled in their boats and were, refurbishing them and so on.
Right. I would say that Sarteneja cover about 2 square miles of coastal of the coast.
Probably more.
Chunush and Copperbank are not exactly on the coast, but this year what you call the Progreso Lagoon.
Right.
They're more or less in the middle of the Progreso Lagoon, which is a direct link to the coast, right?
Yeah.
To the coast, okay, to the
okay.
sea.
Now back to boat to boat.
So yeah. So talking about the boat-to-boat, as I was telling you, we pioneered the strategy in 2012, and then the idea is that we were having community meetings at that time. But when we go to the communities at that time, we found out that the meetings were poorly attended. And the people who attended the meeting are mostly women, children.
Who stay on land.
Yeah, and they are not the stakeholders we want to meet. The stakeholders we want to meet are the fisher folks. So here what? The then protected area manager, Mr. Shane Young, and myself, we sat down together on a December morning like this, and we thought, hey, we have this project, but we are not getting what we want,
Right,
the objective
getting
that we
the
want to
information
promote,
you
right?
want.
The information we want to give to fisher folks. So let's think. And so the idea, bam, came the idea of the boat-to-boat initiative. So we called the donor, and we asked them if we could become flexible to try out and go see the fishers one-on-one on their fishing vessels at Lighthouse Reef for that December morning in 2012. No? So the donors gave us the green light, and we kicked off, we pioneered that strategy there and then.
Did this mean you had to purchase a craft?
No. Belize Audubon already had two crafts.
Okay.
Right? I could remember. One of them is Trombus. That's the one we used to use. You know, very a heavy boat with one outboard engine. And so we took some grips. Right? We took some grips on that weekend, and we kicked off the program.
You took some grips.
We took some grips so that we share, no? Share with the fisher folks and an ice cold Coke.
What?
Right? And that, the conch season had already opened at that time. And when we went out there, I mean, we saw the boats lined up in the atoll, in the...
You're not going to
right
pictures
in front
of
of
that,
them.
no? I would love to.
I think...
Okay, whatever
Sanchez put
images,
some
yeah, we'll
pictures,
put them
right.
up. Keep watching the screen.
Yes.
But how many boats are we talking about out there?
Well, actually, we have about over 300 plus registered fishers out there. So we have more than 25 plus registered boats out there at the moment,
At the
currently.
point. So
at that point,
they move at different times?
yeah, they are very strategic. They know the areas where they will fish. If you have 25 to 30 boats, when the opening of the conch and the lobster season come in, they know exactly what part of the atoll they will be.
They decide that among themselves?
No.
No.
I think each boat has their own way of aligning themselves or
That's
or
what I mean.
sharing the atoll.
They have to share the area,
Yes,
so
they have to
they get
share
out
the
there
area,
and
right.
strategically place themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is very interesting how they do it, because these guys are better sailors than you, than
No,
we,
well, I mean,
that we work at bus, you know.
I freed for water to begin with, so
Yes.
you know.
So so we kicked off the program, and we started it with one-on-one. Now the idea for this is for them to voice their issues, their concerns, the threats that they are facing, what are some of the problems that they are facing through in the fishing industry and all of that. But bear in mind that at that time, when we started to go on the boats one-on-one, try to talk with them, it was not a very, very amicable situation, talking with the fishers. In fact, they saw us like enemies.
As a threat. Yeah,
I can remember the first boat.
You're coming to check up on them or something like that.
You know, and intruding into their turfs and getting into their fishing
business.
practices, their business. Yeah, correct. So I can remember when we did the first boat-to-boat, and we went on one, talked to the fishermen, tell them what we are doing. We want to share them some information about fisheries regulations. At that time, it was the opening of the conch season, and let them do best practices in fishing, the size, the tail length, the weight, right, and all of this. But some of them were kind of all right, but from far they want to talk to us, right? And then in one of the boats that we visited, I think Mr. Shane Young, the then protected area manager sensed that something is wrong. And there were about 4 of them. One was at the bow with his spear gun when we were approaching, right? I think they had already placed themselves like
Defense.
yeah,
Defensive.
yes, and the other 2 were just standing, one in the middle and the other one on by the engine, where the engine is. So when we got around, at that time we did it jointly with the fisheries department.
Okay.
In fact, up to today,
But one boat. You all were on one boat, or you?
one boat, the
Yeah.
Strombos that I was telling you, that was the boat that Belize Audubon has, and it still has up to today. So we went around the boat, and while getting near the boat, the fisheries officer observed a stash of sack thrown around the boat, right? So immediately, the fisheries officer and one of Bass's rangers threw themselves on the water.
Oh, really?
And they pull out sacks of conch. They already have it there, before the season starts, because we go before the season starts, right? So there and then they saw the conch, and myself and Mr. Young stayed on the boat, but one spell I noticed like the guy of the spear gun wanted to point his spear to Mr. Young. No, we had a coax
But
there.
you had other boats around?
Yes,
Yeah.
other boats around, but there, like I tell you, they are
A little distance,
far, not
yeah.
a distance from each other. So there and then, the crate of coke is right beside me, and I tried like to hold one of the coke, but I stay there stiff, right? So I say, if this guy does try to hurt any one of us, I will try and strike one of them, right?
Hit him with a cold coke.
But I just noticed that everything happened so quick that the guys came in, took out their sacks of conch and everything, and then Mr. Young said, okay, guys, you need to accompany us with all this conch with us and so on. But the thing is, I wanted to tell you that it was not an easy start.
No, I could imagine.
It was a lot of
And you see, the other boats know that this is going on. That's why they get defensive.
Right.
Because if they may not be doing it, but they could complicit.
Yeah. Yes.
So these guys, you took them in.
You took them in. And
So your boat
counted
to boat served 2 purposes: trying to get information and also catching those who are breaking the law.
Yes. And more than that, today the boat has become very innovative.
Yeah.
In that it also helps us to promote our conservation work.
So they're more accepting now.
Yeah, they are more. In fact, over those span of years, since 2012 till now, I think the fishermen perception has changed.
Yeah.
They are more amicable, they are more receptive, and they are freely voice their opinions, their threats, their problems that they are facing. In fact, now they are showing that stewardship for that area that they fish.
But how many boats fished that area at one time?
Like, as I tell you,
about 20-something, you said?
yeah, about, I think right now there are more than 20-something boats now, because there are over 300 fishers fishing only at Lighthouse.
That's
Because this
that's why
country
I
has-
ask you, because you mentioned 300 fishers, but not all of them have boats, right?
No.
No.
No. A boat is steered by a captain.
Right.
And the captain is the one who has maybe about 9 to 12 fisher folks on board
Right.
who go along
That
with
many?
him.
That many go on a boat?
Yes, the sailboats.
The sailboats.
No, nowadays, about 5 years ago, that changed. Some fishers have changed from sailboats to skiffs.
Yeah.
Because I think that is a faster way of, of going
Yeah.
to 50 miles, going from 50 miles from here to
Yeah.
the atoll, then come back. So it's a faster trip for them. So instead of going, like, let's say, 5 to 8 days on a sailboat for one fishing trip, the skiff can do it in 2-3 days, go and come and bring in
Bring
their
more
product,
produce,
much
yeah.
more product and so
Yeah.
on to sell to the cooperative.
Right.
So that is what makes it interesting. Now the boat-to-boat strategy involves a lot of roles now. So it's not only about sharing information about fisheries regulations, but we also promote our our conservation work in terms of sharing data, conch data, with the fisher folks, the status of conch and lobster in the area. How can we fish sustainably so that we can continue having for the years to come?
Yeah.
Because we say that this is your livelihood, so you need to take care
protect
of
it
and protect it.
you
and
can't
care of
abuse it.
Right. We also share information about when an illegal activity or a bus is done out there. For instance, I think a couple of years ago, they made a bus of grazers, right? The angel fish, the parrot fish,
Yeah.
right? So we immediately set an awareness initiative to sell to the fisherman, to give to the fisherman, in order so that they know the importance of grazers to reef health.
Yeah.
We also talk about the stony coral tissue loss disease, right, which were impacting the coral reefs all over the country, all over the country and the whole year round. So all of these comes from our research and monitoring program. So this data, we get it, and I, as the community liaison officer, we go and share the information.
So you keep them abreast of what's happening with the water, the reef, the conch obviously, and the lobster and so on.
Yes, and it goes to an even greater extent in that now the fishermen are so amicable, so willing to discuss issues and concerns, and they even give us intelligence.
Yeah,
as to
I thought of that. Who might be breaking the law and things like that.
To implement strategic enforcement activities. No? So they know. So all of this has been incorporated in the boat-to-boat strategy.
Yeah.
So it is a very, very innovative strategy.
You mentioned these 3 villages, and you concentrate on those 3 villages. There are other fishing villages along the coast of Belize. Who are they under the same program, or is that handled differently, or is it because of the area where they fish, the atoll?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. The Belize Audubon Society co-manages Lighthouse Reef Atoll, no? And we work closely with the buffer communities that work in that to promote, work around that atoll to promote our conservation work. So these communities, as I tell you, are the ones who work around Lighthouse Reef Atoll. So we do these kind of initiatives with them. No, not. Hence, we also do other work with other organizations. For instance, I think it was in 2016, we mentored the Southern Environmental Facility, how to implement.
In their area?
Yeah, in their area. How to launch the boat-to-boat initiative. So now they are also doing
the same thing.
Right.
Is this atoll area the most busy and the most important area when it comes to this type of fishing?
All over Belize, we have how many? 4, I mean, we have what we call the Manijaxis, I think around 2017, 16. It was launched in 2016.
Yeah.
And when that initiative kicked in, the whole country was broken down into zones. Into zones.
Who fishes where?
Who can fish, in certain areas. For instance, these people from up north, they fish about 50 years ago, they were fishing in that atoll. So every fisherman has 3 options to fishing in a fishing zone, right? But their first choice would, for the northern communities, the first choice would be Zone 7, which is Lighthouse Reef Atoll, and Zone 8, which is Turnef. So these fishermen, since they have to travel through Turnef and go to
they are far away from where they are fishing.
So and plus these guys, their fishing practices is very interesting because they have to leave their home. We from Kapabang, Chunos, catch the bus.
That's a lot of
come to Belize City, right?
Yes.
And they have their sailboat.
Because they are going like in opposite direction.
Right.
You know, from where they live.
And then they travel another 50 miles with their sailboats from here to the atoll.
So they keep their boats here?
Right here by the swing bridge. If you notice when you cross along there, you see those sailing boats and fishing boats are from the northern communities.
Imagine.
Yeah.
They have to come all the way here to do that. And then that's why they live on the boats.
Right.
That's why they do that. Is this the only group that travels that far? Are there other groups more closer to their fishing grounds?
Every fishing group have different styles of fishing practices. For instance, at Tide, they do one-day fishing, right? Because the area where they fish,
That's in
from
PG, don't
Toledo,
PG
yes,
side.
PG side.
But they fish in their neighborhood,
In their
basically.
neighborhood. That's another zone. And
Yeah.
I can't recall what zone is that area.
Yeah, I know.
But that's another zone where they fish. But our fishers, that's how they do it. We call them artisanal fishers. And in terms of the boat-to-boat, we have built a very strong relationship with them. Because through that also, fishers have seen us as something, has seen the organization as something positive in that they now go way to the extent when they are, let's say, have any emergency at sea. Let's say that they get scarcity of water in their boat. They come to Half Moon Key and we give them some water.
Because we have a station there.
Yes, we have a station at Half Moon Key. So when someone gets sick, they easily go to the station, call us, and then we call their families, someone.
How far is the station from where they would normally be fishing?
Well, the whole
us an
atoll, let's say that from Half Moon Key to Blue Hole is 8 miles.
8 miles.
And you go way up to northern Tukey, probably that's another 5 or to 6 miles. So it's about 13 distance.
yeah.
In fact, it's a whole,
Yeah.
and that's because that's the smallest atoll in Belize, no? Lighthouse Reef.
So you're happy with the results?
Definitely. I think the boat has gone to the extent that we have, as I told you, we have built that amicable relation with the fishermen, and now they are looking forward every time when the season opens. They are looking forward for the boat-to-boat initiative. We go to their boats.
They'll get a
one-on-one
visitor.
with them. Yes, and I will always
And you
say,
bring them some grapes.
"Hey, Mr. Ayuso, Mr. Ayuso is back." Okay, so we are waiting for the ice cold Coke, and we do the boat-to-boat not during the day while they are fishing. We begin the initiative 5 o'clock in the morning up to 8 o'clock in the morning.
I was going to ask you that, how long it
right?
takes you to cover all of them?
Yeah, for 3 days. We
3
go
days.
just before the opening of the season, the lobster and the conch season.
And you're based at the station all
Yeah,
these
we
3 days?
base there. We go along with the Fisheries Department, sometimes the Coast Guard. We have a Coast Guard station there. Only if there is a need, we take them. Because the boat-to-boat is a soft community engagement approach.
Right.
We don't involve
that's not
enforcement.
right.
It's just a one-on-one discussion.
But
with the
if you
fishermen.
do see someone breaking the law like the last
then
time,
and then you
have to report it. You have to take action.
do what you have to do. Correct.
Are you yourself personally understand you are leaving Audubon? Is that no?
Well, this is my last week here, so yes, I'm retiring. Well, I
you're
don't know if I
retiring.
retire too soon or too late. I don't know.
But you miss them boat rides, man.
Oh yes, man, definitely. I will miss. I had a passion for. This is one of them. This is only one of them, the boat-to-boat strategy, because I work with them. All the protected areas that BAS co-manages, which are 7 of them, and I'm responsible to do along with the other programs. I liaise with the other programs to do our community engagement work.
Well, you mentioned retirement, but I don't think I will see you just sitting at home and
Oh no, man.
watching Discovery Channel and
No,
the
definitely
sea.
I will
I'm
be
sure
active.
you'll keep active.
Yes, and like I told my boss, I will be planting the seeds of conservation wherever I go, right? Because we need to make this world green. We need to save this planet Earth, as you mentioned at the beginning of the radio show, that everybody has a role to play in it, and all of us need to do a lead part to save this planet Earth for the next 100 or thousands years, so for the benefit of our children and our children's children to enjoy our biodiversity, right?
Interesting
we know we face
conversation.
a lot of challenges. Climate change is one of them. And we do all of this because we know that the coral reef health, where fishes live, where the rich biodiversity is in jeopardy, right? With so much, we have the SCTLD disease, like I told you, stony coral tissue loss disease.
whitening and
we have the coral bleaching.
Bleaching,
all of
right,
those
the
are
word.
due to the impacts of climate change. So all these things we try to mesh when we do our boat-to-boat.
Yeah, it's a big job. Mr. Ayuso, thank you for coming in. keeping us informed. And interesting conversation. You know, you painted a picture of a lot of us, especially in the city, other parts of the country, don't realize what these fishers do. And they're out there in the sea and our beautiful waters and making a living, and we have to protect it.
Definitely.
Certainly do, like everything else. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
We lose sight of
Yeah.
all that puts our country together. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you very
Well, a
much again,
pleasure
Mr.
being with
Ernesto,
you.
and thank Love FM for inviting us. We hope that in the future we also have more conversation about our conservation work here at
we'll
Belize
keep
Audubon
working on it.
Society.
We try to deal with all the topics that are relevant for the development of our country. Like I said earlier, it's from politics to the normal man living or the ordinary citizen in the country. We all have a role to play, and we have to be aware of what's going on around us. Thank you, sir. I want to say thanks to my MCO, William, and of course to Karen in the Love FM studio, our producer, Manuela, and to all of you for being with us this morning and choosing us. We really, really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So stay with us. If you can't, we'll see you next time. I want to say, be kind to somebody today. Belize and beyond, thanks for choosing love. Bye-bye.